Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to another edition of Kaiju's Corner. I am your host, Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir, and back in the co-host seat again is my animator friend, Crooked.
Hello, little critic.
It's okay, Crooked. We're not in playing our roles in this time around.
We're not?
No, we're not. Sorry, you can drop the theatrics.
But you know how hard it is to be Augustine? I pre-Augustine, man. I'm sorry, that never happened before.
Well, that's what you get for trying to be a method actor. That's right. Learn your place on this channel. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
I'm a sorry bastard.
Oh no, let's not go there. We don't want YouTube has been filled with enough controversy. Let's not have any of that on my channel.
Oh god.
2017 has been a horrible year for YouTube, but before we finish things off, let's try to put together one last episode for Kaiju's Corner. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these, and the reason why is because I've been trying to really hard to get back into the whole swing of things with reviewing, and there's the whole Godzilla 98 review that Crooked and I have been doing our little crossover with within our own little meta-fiction of these scripted reviews. Yeah.
But, well, let's face it. People want to see me for those reviews.
If you believe so, fine. Whatever makes you sleep at night. But but however, you approached me with the idea of doing an episode solely focused on the concept of Japanese adapting certain properties, franchises, characters from the West. This was all totally inspired by the recent announcement and trailer reveal for Batman Ninja, or as it's known in Japan, Ninja Batman, which I think works as a much better title.
According to the trailer, it said Lord Batoman.
Or Lord Batoman, if you want to go with katakana English in that case, because you know the Japanese they can't be bothered to learn how to properly pronounce this shit. They got to I don't want to say dumb it down because that's horribly offensive. They want to bring it down to their standards of pronunciations.
Batoman.
You know what? It does remind me there was actually a Batman manga way back in the day, and that actually has all been translated and collected into like a collection.
I've actually read a little bit of that.
Oh, really? Okay. And how was that?
You did ask how it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I only read a little bit of it, but it was kind of an interesting story of how this drug that was being released to people, turning them into different Batman villains.
Okay, that's interesting.
It still took place in Gotham, but the main narrative point was a Japanese reporter.
Okay, interesting.
Sort of what we did with Godzilla King of Monsters, where we made an American reporter go to Japan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
So I thought that worked a lot better than instead of making putting Batman in Japan.
Yeah, just throwing him in there, time travel and whatnot. Okay, but yeah, this has definitely not been the first time we've seen a Japanese Batman, and I think even within Batman Incorporated, Batman was traveling all over the world to try to find different people to be the Batman of their respective countries in order to like franchise out Batman. This is right before the New 52, I think, and maybe a little bit afterwards.
Oh yeah, this before the reboot. Oh, yeah. Before we go any further, I apologize for the dogs in the background.
Okay, it's understandable. Luckily, they're not too loud right now, and so
I'm just getting out of the way right now, just in case people watching this are wondering what that noise is.
Right. Okay, then. So, let's see. And you know what? Of most of the American superheroes, Batman doesn't really seem like the most far-fetched to be put in a Japanese setting, because a lot of his appeal is already kind of Japanese-esque. Like, he's already, like, technically a ninja. He's learned martial arts.
Learned from the League of Shadows.
Learned from the League of Shadows, yeah. And, what was it called? What would you say? He's just a dude wearing an animal-themed costume and doing a whole bunch of stuff. He's already essentially a Kamen Rider. In fact, there is one Kamen Rider, I forgot his name, but he was from like Dragon Knight or Kamen Rider Ryuki, that looks essentially like a knight version of Batman.
Let's just call him Batoman.
Batoman. Yeah. So, with this newest iteration of a Japanese Batman, we have ourselves Batman Ninja, And we have a lot of people working on this. We had like the character designer from Afro Samurai, which was another property that attempted to fuse American and Japanese cultures together. We had the animation team behind the CG openings of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
which I think was a perfect choice, especially seeing like the very first one, which was very comic book.
Right, yeah. I love those intros for the first 3 story arcs of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They look beautiful, they're stunning, even though they do that same thing that I hate with Japanese CGI where animation, where they have a much lower stuttery frame rate. With the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, yes, they still do that, but there's enough visual flair there to kind of distract you. And I feel like there's enough interesting visuals here within the trailer to make up for the weird stuttery frame rate that they're very insistent on doing all the time in an attempt to try to replicate that feel of 2D. However, what I like is, I think with the original artist, was what? Why am I blanking out on JoJo's creator? What was it? Araki. It was Araki. His art style looks like it was made for 3D like CG animation, because there's like a lot of depth and detail to his characters. So they work in a 3D environment. And with Batman, it also, the art style works great as well, I think.
So they want to bring up about the animation.
Yeah, sure.
Does it also sort of remind you of that old MTV Spider-Man series?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, it reminds me a bit of that. Although I feel like
I guess it could be the shading.
Right, the MTV Spider-Man does look that. However, I would say that with MTV Spider-Man, it does have a weird waxy look to all the characters, and I think this version looks a lot better than waxy PS2 looking or GameCube looking Spider-Man. In fact, I would say it looks a lot like the CGI animation for MTV Spider-Man looked a lot like the cutscenes out of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I guess I would. I never thought of that.
Yeah, so with the Ninja Batman, I feel like it's a nice step up from previous CGI efforts, but there are several annoyances here and there that I'm sure people will have an issue with when they see this. However, I will say that
comic book fans seeing an anime adaptation of a comic book,
or people who are just not into like the CG, the nature of the CG itself. Especially when nowadays most people are especially in the West, most people are still not keen to the idea of CGI anime. For most people, they don't see CGI as a CGI, even if it's from Japan, they don't see it as an anime. They think, no, it has to be 2D or else it's not anime. Even though in Japan, all animation, regardless of country or format, is anime to them.
Right.
So with where was it going with? Oh yeah, and I did want to mention that already the CGI looks so much more visually interesting than what I saw in Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. However, of course, you, the audience, will have the chance to make that decision for yourself once that movie eventually comes to Netflix next year.
Ooh.
So, let's see. With Ninja Batman, what were your overall thoughts when you saw the trailer and you learned of the concept of Batman traveling back in time, and his team and his villains and allies all traveling back in time?
Well, I thought it just felt more like a comic book like story, more like an Elseworld like story.
Yeah. Now, did you like the idea that this was like supposedly legit Batman time traveled, or would you have rather wanted to see a version of Batman who was 100% Japanese, who grew up in feudal Japan?
I like this one a little better because, like I said, it's a little more comic. It's a little more like a comic book like story.
Yeah.
Because I remember they did a lot of weird stories like this in the Silver Age for Batman, when he sent him back in time and all that.
Oh yeah, that does remind me of what was it? It was Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne, I think.
Yeah.
Where after Batman supposedly died at the hands of Darkseid, his soul or his consciousness was transported back in time to like the caveman era, and so he tries to get back to the present day by, I don't know, like somehow reincarnating as different versions of Bruce Wayne and or Batman throughout time. So you'd have like a, what would you call it, like a pilgrim Batman, caveman Batman, pirate Batman. Now,
Ninja Batman?
I don't think they touched Asia at all, but I guess that could have been it, but I guess they didn't do that. I know there was like some 1930s or 40s detective Batman. So, yeah. So I was pretty excited and intrigued by the idea of Ninja Batman, and I like the idea of the Joker and his crew. They came to Japan, so they're already, fucking up the timeline, making it all steampunky and adding future technology to the mix, and Joker training to be a legit samurai and being someone who can actually go toe-to-toe with Batman, like on a physical combat level. So that sounds very interesting. And the Joker does kind of work as this crazy, psychotic-looking samurai demon-looking character.
Now, how do the designs look to you? I think they look interesting, but then again, I like redesigns of superheroes in a more anime style. I just think those are cool.
Yeah. I think most of the designs work well here, except I'm not sure what's up with Damian Wayne's hair.
That is a weird style. I don't know why I picked that for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be based on like an actual hairstyle for certain samurai or ninjas, or did he just like got his scalp burned and that's all that's left of his hair.
Now, do you think it's surprising they went with Red Hood instead of Batgirl?
You're right, there is no Batgirl.
Yeah, they went with Red Hood, though, which is surprising.
Yeah. That is kind of weird because I didn't even know, because I try to keep up with like the latest events going on in the comics, but I don't read the comics themselves. So I didn't know that Red Hood was still hanging out with Batman. But then again, or that he was even still in Gotham, operating in Gotham, because the last I heard, he was like, I don't know, like Red Hood and the Outlaws. I thought that he had his own team. That he was.
He works kind of like Nightwing. He works with Batman every now and then.
Okay, then yeah. And then with Batgirl, it's like, are they still going with Oracle? Is she still Oracle in this
No, she's Batgirl continuity? Now.
Well, I know she's Batgirl now, but it's like because they're like including everybody from Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Harley Quinn.
And Gorilla Grodd for some reason.
Gorilla Grodd, even though he's like, isn't he like a Flash villain?
Yeah, he's a Flash villain. I was confused on that.
I mean, it would have made sense to have like Solomon Grundy or Killer Croc or something.
Killer Croc would have been really cool to see. One design I'm really excited to see is Deathstroke, who's also supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I believe he is. I read somewhere he's supposed to be in it.
Right. And but yeah, it's weird that there's no Batgirl there. And so, like, in this continuity, is she still Oracle? Is she like the computer girl, the guy behind, like, to quote Spider-Man, Homecoming? Is she the computer guy in this version? Or what do you call it? The computer chair guy? Or if she's Batgirl, where is she? Or maybe she has a secret appearance. Who knows? But then again, the whole idea of these are characters who were all displaced and all time traveled. So I'm thinking, what sort of cataclysmic event would have occurred that would have brought all these heroes and villains all together in one spot for all of them to get time traveled back to feudal Japan?
I'm wondering if that's where Grodd plays a role in, because it feels like he'd be the villain of all of them to cause something like this.
Maybe he invented the time travel stuff just to get rid of Batman and his team.
And Joker just end up using it for himself.
Yeah, possibly. It would have been cool if we got some samurai shogun gang war sort of deal going on.
That would be cool.
Yeah, we had like Joker's team, Joker's crew versus Gorilla Grodd's crew. But yeah, it would be very interesting to see what elements of Japanese history and culture they'll be inserting into or mixing with the Batman lore.
Now, when I saw the trailer for this, did you ever see those DC shorts like Batman in Shanghai?
Yes, I did saw Batman in Shanghai, and I'm surprised that this wasn't like a continuation of that, because that looked amazing.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking too. When I first heard of a Batman anime, I went, didn't we already have something like that? It's more like that.
But that's technically Batman in China, not Japan. They're different countries, Crooked.
Am I racist? Did I just make a racism?
Maybe. Who knows?
Oh God. It's gonna haunt me all night.
Let's see. So, but yeah, there was a series. You're right. Back in the day, back in like I want to say 2011, 2012, there was a series of DC animated shorts, and some of them were like serialized, where it's like here's one short, but if you want to see it continue, stay tuned next week for the next short, or stay tuned tomorrow for the next part. And one of them was Batman in Shanghai, where you had Batman, Catwoman, and Bane all trying to go after this mob boss's secret scroll, and we had Batman still being all technological but somehow mystical as well, because he's able to turn into a swarm of bats. It was a very visually interesting, very appealing piece of animation. And so instead of going with the Shanghai version, we're now going with Ninja Samurai version. Although I will agree with Martin from Double Toasted. He looks more like a samurai than an actual ninja.
I noticed that too. I was kind of confused.
Yeah, because like, is he going to be doing any ninja stuff around? Because everything we saw in the trailer was all just, samurai. And the biggest difference between ninjas and samurais, ninjas, they work in the shadows, they're more subtle. Meanwhile, with samurais, they're decked out in a whole bunch of armors in order to confront the enemy head on, as opposed to like on the side and being all sneaky. And everything we're seeing here is more like a samurai than that of a ninja.
Well, to be fair, if he was an actual ninja, he'd probably just still look like Batman.
I guess so, yeah. So it wouldn't be all that special, I guess. And they really want to go for very visually interesting, something very big, explosive, over the top, crazy. So, and especially when you got like steampunk robots going around. So I guess you would need to have Batman decked out as a samurai.
Yeah.
But then why not just call it Batman Samurai then? I don't know. Who knows? Who cares?
Because ninjas are cooler.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. I like ninjas. Yeah. I like Strider Hero. I like Ryu Hayabusa. I like
Ninja Turtles.
I like Ninja Turtles. I like Kakashi from Naruto. Yeah. Ninjas are cool. Yeah, I can get down with that. I was going to go with Ninja, but no, Kaku Ranger. That's the better ninja show. Let's see. So, because of the reveal of Batman Ninja, like I said, you approached me with the idea of let's take a look at how Japan has treated, or Japanese companies have treated, other Western characters and how they would translate them for a Japanese audience. So, what was something that you noticed when it came to a lot of these interpretations of Western characters, Crooked?
All right, so when we get something from Japan, we make all of it take place in America. All the characters are American and all that.
Yeah,
but when Japan gets our media, they just bring our characters to their country.
Yeah, that was a very interesting trend that I noticed with Batman Ninja, as well as several other characters that you mentioned as well, that we'll get into right now. So, what are one of the first pieces of media that you want to bring up? Since you were the one, I let you be the one to organize a list of these properties.
Well, there's the Marvel anime. I count them all as one because they share the same universe.
Okay, yeah. So
Have you ever seen them?
Unfortunately, I've only seen clips here and there, but I know that they don't have that good of a reputation. It was sort of a thing that people were initially excited about, but then once like the first two animes came out, they were like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is the direction they're going in." And then by the time Wolverine came out, which I heard was considered the worst of the animes, people were just like, okay, I give up. That's it. And so now the Marvel animes have kind of just been relegated to this one small spot, little speck, not so special spot on Marvel history. So it's like, I guess it was cool at first, but then everyone was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, so here's the thing. They should not have started with Wolverine. I didn't hate it, but it was definitely the weaker of all of them.
Uh-huh.
But they picked that one out of all of them.
Uh-huh. So,
Iron Man did a little better. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll let you go over those, and then I'll ask you what was the story for each of them.
Yeah. Well, Iron Man did a lot better just because Iron Man works a little better as an anime.
Uh-huh.
With the whole armor and all that. Makes it look more, fits more with mechs.
Uh-huh.
Then there's the X-Men one, which I think is one of the best of them.
Yeah, I did hear some good things about that.
And Blade was really good just because it works better with the more fantasy feel of anime.
Uh-huh. Okay. So it looks like the Marvel anime slowly got better as they went along, but I guess the interest just dropped off the interest in the Marvel anime project just got lower and lower by the time Blade rolled around. People have already moved on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's the two movies.
The two movies. Was one of them the Black Widow and Punisher movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that was a Japanese animated project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And what was the other project?
Rise of Technovore. It's an Iron Man one.
Oh, so that was two movies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was one movie.
Nope, there was two of them.
Okay, so because the way it was titled and advertised, it looked like one movie where it's like Iron Man. No, it was called like Marvel and what was it called? Avengers Confidential, Black Widow and Punisher, Rise of the Technovore. So I thought it was
Rise of Technovore was the Iron Man movie.
Okay, so it was Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher. Avengers Confidential, Rise of the Technovore. Yeah. Okay, okay.
Wow. Now, when it comes to those movies, Punisher appeared in both of them, but they changed his design completely between the two.
Okay, see, that's another reason why I was very confused, because Punisher did appear in both of them.
Yeah. But what I did like about the first Punisher, which is in Rise of Technovore, he's voiced by the same guy that plays Daryl in The Walking Dead.
Daryl. Oh, wait. Norman Reedus?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool when I found out. But he looked more kind of like Norman Reedus a little bit more, had a little bit more shaggy hair and all that.
Oh, I see. Did he have a beard?
No beard, no.
No beard. Okay. Norman Reedus beard. Okay.
Yeah. But you can kind of see they took maybe a little bit. They do kind of look alike a little bit.
Okay, then. Yeah. Oh,
then the Punisher in the other one looks more like Punisher, big buff guy with a skull on his chest and all that.
Right. Okay. So how were those two movies in terms of quality?
Actually, I thought they were really good. They're not something you can just watch whenever you want, and you don't have to put too much thought into it.
Yeah.
They're more just popcorn flicks.
Okay, so they're nothing too memorable, but they're okay for what they are.
I would recommend Black Widow and Punisher over Iron Man.
Okay, I did remember seeing a review for the Rise of the Technovore movie by an individual I follow by the name of Dark Lord Jado, and he did not have a lot of nice things to say about the Technovore movie.
Yeah. And you want me to tell the basic stories of the 4 series now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, first things first, all these started with 2 teasers for 2 of the series, which is Wolverine and Iron Man.
Uh-huh.
Which you've probably seen on the Marvel website. We started out with Wolverine, who was very cliche anime badass.
Right, he's even got the whole pretty boy face look to him as opposed to the rough, rugged look.
In the prequel, he had like a white stripe in his hair.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But in the anime, he looks more like Hugh Jackman to me. Just looks like he has more of a Hugh Jackman vibe.
Okay.
Now, in the Iron Man anime trailer, Iron Man looked the same. You can't really alter Iron Man too much.
Well, I guess nowadays most people try to just copy Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. But yeah, Wolverine's story was definitely the weakest. They were trying to do the story of Wolverine going to Japan where his wife... I'm sorry. You remember the story of Wolverine going to Japan where his wife is?
Yeah, I've seen
Silver Samurai and all that.
Right, yeah. That was the Frank Miller story, right? And that was the thing that the Wolverine was based off of.
Yeah. They loosely tried to do that, but they didn't use Silver Samurai. They actually made an original character. I thought it was a pretty cool character called Kikyo, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
He's like Wolverine, except he has swords, not like Baraka Pool from Origins.
Okay. I was thinking, like, if you already have a Japanese character, why not just use the Silver Samurai?
That's what I was thinking, too. I was like, is he too cliche? What?
Yeah, it's like, what's up? What the hell, man? Marvel already did your job for you, Japan.
Yeah, but they did add Omega Red to it, which I thought was surprising.
Okay.
You know who Omega Red is, right?
The Russian dude with the large
Yeah.
metal tentacles from his arms.
Yeah, I personally would have gone with Sabretooth because I feel like there could have been so many cool design choices you could have done with him in an anime style.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But it, like I said, it was one of the weakest ones. It's pretty boring. It wasn't really a superhero story.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was more of a more boring Logan.
I see.
Like the movie?
Yeah. He comes to Japan to look for some information or look for a person, and some people want to mess with him.
Yeah, he was more interesting in his guest appearance in the other anime than he was in this.
I see now. Okay, then.
Yeah. Now, Iron Man, that was a confusing story to look back on, but it was kind of interesting at the same time because all these series, they don't use big name villains for these characters.
Uh-huh.
And the Iron Man one, let's go ahead.
Were most of these Marvel animes trying to make their own villains?
Not really. They actually use very lesser named villains.
Okay, then.
Well, I think Iron Man's might have been original. I probably need to look into that.
Uh-huh.
But I saw that or some. But Iron Man's main antagonist throughout the whole series was a group called Zodiac. That's a very minor group in the comic books.
Uh-huh.
And in the X-Men comics, you get the Hellfire Club.
Uh-huh.
And in Blade, you get Deacon Frost, who's Blade's main villain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But when I see this, I think they're aiming more towards comic book fans than they are just a basic comic book reader.
Uh-huh.
When they go with these less recognizable villains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, instead of Magneto for the X-Men, they go with the Hellfire Club.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah, you'd think that they would try to make their own villain just to at least have the Japanese production teams leave their own mark on these stories, have something that they can say, hey, look, I created that.
They do add some original characters to it.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, Wolverine had a minor antagonist in his anime called Kikyo, who has similar powers to him.
Uh-huh.
They also brought this character back for Blade.
Okay, then. Interesting.
But Wolverine appeared in all three of them, but his design was completely different in the X-Men one.
And in the other one, and then the third one?
I say in the Iron Man and Blade, he was the same design, same Hugh Jackman like.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Yeah.
So
but
then,
I'm sorry. But in the X-Men anime, he looks more like Wolverine, very buff, shorter than a lot of the other X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we know Wolverine came to Japan because he was looking for, like, someone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
His love interest?
His love interest, right. Mariko or Yuriko?
I think it was Madako.
Okay. So what were the reasons for Iron Man, the X-Men, and Blade to come to Japan?
Well, for the X-Men, it was when they introduced the character Armor, who is a minor X-Men character.
Uh-huh.
But she is a Japanese character, so they went to Japan to get her.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's why they also introduced the Hellfire Club and all that.
Okay, so it's like, we need you to fight the Hellfire Club, so we're going to spend our whole show coming to your place to talk to you.
They go back to New York. They do go back to New York in it.
Alright, so is only like half of it in Japan?
They go back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Because there's another mutant school in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Now for Iron Man, I believe if I remember correctly, he was opening up a new company and also announcing his retirement as Iron Man in Japan.
Okay, then. So what will happen? So he wants to extend his business.
Yes.
I see.
It makes sense with a lot of these characters like Blade, who goes to different countries to slay vampires. Iron Man's a businessman. He go to different countries.
Yeah.
The X-Men would definitely go to different countries for another mutants.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, it makes sense for a lot of these characters.
Okay. And what was Blade's excuse?
Blade was still hunting Deacon Frost in this.
Uh-huh. And so his chase led him to Japan?
Yes.
Okay, then. I see. So with all these adaptations, all of these characters are already established, much like their comic book counterparts, and are simply going to Japan to look for someone or something, and they just so happen to find trouble along the way.
Right.
Okay, then. And let's see, I'm assuming that the Rise of the Technovore and Black Widow, and Punisher, they never go to Japan?
Actually, they do go to Japan. I don't
Oh.
remember if they do it in Rise of Technovore, but they do in Punisher.
Oh, really? And what was the excuse there?
There's an island full of criminals, or at least thieves, where a lot of illegal things happen, and that's where the final battle takes place.
Oh, okay, then. And this island of criminals, this was near Japan?
Yeah. So they also use it in the four Marvel series.
I see now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this wouldn't be the last time that Marvel has dipped its toes into anime, where like once the MCU became a thing and the Avengers started becoming incredibly popular, we ended up with not one but two Avengers anime. Am I correct?
I don't remember two, but I do know one.
Yeah, well, one of them was released. One of them was like a couple years ago. The other one was announced this year back in May. So we have, what's it called? Marvel Disc Wars.
Yes.
And the other one was Marvel Future Avengers. So with Marvel Disc Wars, it's one of those collectible, gotta catch 'em all type of anime shows where there's like some collectible gimmick, and so that encourages the kids to buy as many collectible toys as they can of this gimmick that's in the show. That's something that you would see a lot in modern day Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman shows.
And Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Pokemon was kind of like the one... I don't want to say Pokemon was the trendsetter, but I want to say it was probably the success of Pokemon that had that gotta catch them all, gotta collect them all sort of mentality or marketing campaign. So with Marvel Disc Wars, apparently within the story itself, Loki was able to was fighting the Avengers and eventually captured all the Avengers and placed them into discs. So now a bunch of kids or teenagers have to collect these discs, with each of them containing a superhero, so they can temporarily summon them to fight evil, I guess.
I actually watched a lot of these episodes.
Really now? So how was it?
Yes. Actually, it's not too bad. Just a basic Pokemon-esque anime.
Okay, so it's one of those things where it's like it's okay, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, it's nothing special, except they introduced Deadpool.
I saw the clip of Deadpool and I loved it. I was
like, my God, finally we have an accurate Deadpool, and Japan did it.
So I'm guessing this Deadpool was better than Ultimate Spider-Man's Deadpool.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a lot better, more over the top.
How about Nolan North's Deadpool from Hulk versus Wolverine?
Now he's more Deadpool. He's more Deadpool like in the comic books. That one was you just gotta love Nolan North as Deadpool.
Okay, hey Logan, it's me, Deadpool. I shot you.
Yeah. But what was funny about Deadpool's introduction is, those cutaways in anime before they go to commercial, they show like an image or something.
Right. They
did a special one for Deadpool, and he narrates over this, going, "Finally, I get my own cutaway."
I love how like the writer, whoever was the writer of that particular episode, they were aware that no one in Japan knew about Deadpool because this was before the Deadpool movie came to Japan.
Yeah.
And so he was just, I love how him being Deadpool, he's like, hey, everybody, yeah, you watching this show. I know you don't know me, but I'm the most popular superhero in America.
And they even kept it true that he wanted to be part of a superhero team. That's the deal he made with the Avengers.
Yeah. And
he wanted to. He said he had many of the trapped heroes, and in return, he wants to be part of the Avengers. That was the whole premise of the episode.
Right, I see. So luckily, the Deadpool, as violent of a character as he is, he was faithfully recreated, had his faithfully adapted. But how were the rest of the superheroes in that show? Were they okay, or did they just kind of
actually? They did a really good job keeping them true to their original personalities.
Okay, and
Thor was still Thor. Captain America was still very very much the leader. The Hulk was the Hulk.
Yeah,
can't change the Hulk too much. Although the Hulk looked like a Titan from Attack on Titan.
Yeah, and same goes for Captain America, who for some reason they redesigned his armor and especially his helmet to look like something out of Gatchaman.
Oh, he does.
Because he's got he's got like the eagle beak thing going on with like that eagle beak thing going on, and he's got like these visors covering his eyes.
I heard some people say Thor looked like a Super Saiyan.
I can sort of see that. Yeah, he's definitely got that Goku face going on, the like angry Goku face, and his armor is just like all sorts of craziness. He looks more like a mecha than he does like a person.
Spider-Man
he looks more like a robot than Iron Man.
Oh, that's true. Actually, I never thought of that.
Yeah. And then Black Widow, she's not Black Widow, Wasp.
Wasp.
She seems to take a lot of inspiration from the version from the American animation Avengers.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, yeah. Where that version, I think that was the first time we ever had a black and yellow Wasp costume for her, because most of the time she's like traditionally red and black.
In a lot of the ones in the early 2000s, if I remember correctly, she did wear a gold and black suit.
Okay, then. So Earth's Mightiest Hero wasn't the first one to do that, but it reminds me a lot of that suit.
Personality-wise, she is a lot like that too.
Okay, she's like more chipper, more.
Because that personality works a little better for the anime. Anime.
Yeah, I see. I can see that definitely in anime. She's the more excitable one, or the one with the most very enthusiastic type of personality. Now, okay, so you said for all intents and purposes, the Marvel Disc Wars anime wasn't anything bad or anything. It was just, here's these characters, now they're in Japan as collectible discs. And you mentioned
pretty much you're enslaving your favorite heroes.
Right. I thought that was kind of fucked up. Like, you turned these great, powerful superheroes and you turn them into Pokemon. It's like, go, Iron Man, do my bidding, kick his ass.
What went through my mind was, well, this little Japanese boy has the richest man on Earth to his control.
Yeah, that is crazy. But then again, only in Japan.
Yeah. The only one that wasn't trapped in a disc was Spider-Man.
Really now? Huh.
Yeah. Oh, and Wolverine.
Okay. So, it's also kind of interesting that they went with discs, because during my first year in Japan, I noticed that these discs were everywhere, but not for the Marvel anime. I kept seeing discs for SD Gundams, discs for Kamen Rider, disc for, these were the most popular, I believe, discs for Yokai Watch. Because up until the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon, Yokai Watch kind of like stole its thunder, and Yokai, for the last like 3 years or so, Yokai Watch has been like the biggest new kids franchise in Japan, and I saw a lot of these.
Isn't that one of the most popular series in Japan right now?
I would say yes, but now Yokai Watch seems to have been taking a break because Pokemon Sun and Moon came back, and then everyone got into Pokemon, and I saw less of Yokai Watch, and I even saw within certain game stores the prices for the 3 or 4 Yokai Watch games have gone down in price. So I'm thinking that in the time between Generation 5 and Generation 6, or no, let's see. 4, 5, 6, 7 in the time span between Generation 6 and Generation 7, Yokai Watch came in to fill that gap, and everyone loved it. Apparently, all the kids loved it, and so those discs were very like sought after by these children.
Right.
Yeah, but I still see these discs for these many different franchises here and there. I guess there's like a game you can play with them, but I never got around to seeing what that's all about. But I just know that they're very prevalent, and that nowadays Pokemon has come back to reclaim the throne of the most popular, gotta catch them all, gotta collect them all sort of franchise in Japan. But yeah, anyways, when it comes to the second anime, this was announced at least as far as May 2017, where it was called Marvel Future Avengers. And let's see. The premise is Marvel Future Avengers follows a young boy, Makoto, who gains superpowers through an evil experiment that involves gene manipulation. Makoto and other youths join the Avengers and are named the Future Avengers. The new Future Avengers are trained by Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, and Wasp. And let's see. It was made by Madhouse. Let's see. Marvel previously teamed up with Madhouse to create the Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men, and Blade animes, and the show
is it gonna be done similar style.
Let me just share you a link with it, and it apparently aired on July 22nd, 2017. And it's kind of funny how almost nobody really talked about the either of these two animes. Like, we got a lot of press when it came to the initial Marvel animes, but when it came to these two, nobody, people had to search for them to find out any real information about them.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess these were definitely more geared toward the Japanese audience because they really, I guess they fully take place in Japan. I don't know, because the main character, he's definitely Japanese. But I'm not sure.
You don't know that.
Else, well, his name is Makoto. I don't.
Unless you don't know that. They could have weird parents. Very anime-loving parents.
Oh, God, he's being raised by weeaboos. They even dyed his hair blue for some ungodly reason.
I do that. Then again, I'm a dick.
And you're also a horrible person. No, I'm just kidding. So anyways, so yeah, it seems to be more of a traditional superhero with like, it's kind of like Avengers: The Next Generation. It reminds me
or
of
the Young Avengers.
The Young Avengers, yeah. It kind of reminds me of that one TV show. What was not a TV show? That direct-to-video animated movie.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was like all their kids.
Yeah. What was it called? The Next Avengers.
Yeah, I think it was called The Next Avengers or something.
Yeah. The son of
Ultron was the main antagonist.
Right. And so you had like old Thor and old Hulk and old Iron Man, and you had like the children of Wasp, Ant-Man, Thor, a few Captain America, maybe a few others here and there.
Black Panther and Storm.
Right, yeah. So in here, you've just got these three, at least according to this promo art, three unrelated characters who are being taught by the Avengers. So it's kind of like you got these American characters that are teaching these Japanese exclusive characters.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, and I wonder how they pulled it off. And the character designs look a lot better, in my opinion, especially for Captain America. These designs are straight up almost like the MCU designs, with the exception of Thor, who thankfully once again has a helmet. And as for Wasp, we haven't really seen her official MCU costume in action, but it seems to be very close to what we saw in the end credits of the anime. I mean, of the Ant-Man movie.
Right. Now, when it came to the designs and Disc Wars, they went back and forth for me. Well, they went, oh, that looks pretty cool. Then it went, what the fuck's that?
For which one?
For a lot, they go back and forth. Like Wolverine's costume looked pretty cool. His redesign, it was very much looked a lot like the original. What?
For Disc Wars?
Yeah, for Disc Wars.
Okay, I wish you would have said that. Okay.
I thought I did. Sorry.
No.
But yeah, Wolverine's outfit looked pretty cool. It looked a lot like his original outfit, but with some alterations. But then you get weird designs like Beast and Iron Fist. Iron Fist had Raditz hair from Dragon Ball Z.
Well, did they got Beast confused with Blanca for some reason from Street Fighter?
No, I say Beast. He looks like a Thundercat.
So like he's not even like bulky. He's very slim.
Yeah, he's not like as muscular as you want him to be. He's muscular, but he's about as well built as every other character.
That sucks. Why would you make him skinny?
Yeah, Cyclops still looks like Cyclops. A lot of the characters still look like they originally did, like Spider-Man and Iron Man and all them. Yeah. One they really went over the top with was Green Goblin, who is like huge Hulk size.
Oh, that's just something that was carried over from Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, but they kept a lot of his elements from his original purple and green outfit.
Oh, so he's wearing like the hat, the elf hat and shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's still cool looking though. You still look at him and say that's Green Goblin.
Okay then.
But a lot of these other characters, it just looked weird. Like Doctor Strange had long, messy gray hair.
Okay, I saw a picture of that on Google Images. I was like, what was happening there?
Well, clearly he was traumatized.
Yeah. He was like, I've been in Japan too long. I've seen some scary shit here.
I went to a weird restaurant. I don't want to go back here again.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess moving on from Marvel, and so it's like they tried doing some interesting things with them, but yeah, like they kept the characters like how we envisioned them. I guess these are clearly based off like the versions that Americans are already familiar with, and I guess because the MCU was popular especially when it comes to the Avengers anime. It's like, let's preserve, the movies are the versions that the Japanese are most familiar with, so let's make them like the movies, which are like the comics.
Yep. Now, before we move on, there is one more Marvel property in Japan we need to talk about.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, in America, he is well known for doing anything a spider can, but in Japan, what is he well known for?
He's known for having the powers of an alien, fighting Dr. Monster, fighting giant monsters with a giant fucking robot. He's also the only. Yeah.
He's also the ambassador of hell or something like that.
Yeah, he is the ambassador from hell who fights for the lives of all spiders. It is Spider-Man.
I had to bring it up. I had to.
Of course. It's my favorite Spider-Man. There's no Spider-Man like Japanese Spider-Man and Spider-Man Noir.
Not true.
You know me. So yeah, Japanese Spider-Man. It was 1978 when Toei got the rights to make a Japanese adaptation of the everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and so they decided to just say, fuck all that shit with Peter Parker and Uncle Ben. Let's just take the costume and nothing. Okay, the costume and the web slinging and nothing else.
Let's give him a robot.
Yeah, let's give him a giant robot, give him an alien backstory. Let's turn Peter Parker into a Japanese motorcyclist. Wasn't he also like a university student, or was like some biologist or something? Or
if I remember correctly, yes. I only seen a few episodes of it.
Yeah, I've seen about like 10 or so episodes, and one of the most unfortunate things about about Japanese Spider-Man, because a lot of people probably have only seen the intro to that series on YouTube and maybe a couple fights here and there. The saddest,
and in Spider-Verse.
And Spider-Verse, yeah. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. The comic book. They officially brought Japanese Spider-Man into the comic book series through the universe crossover series Spider-Verse, where Spider-Men from different universes all come together to fight one villain, and we get
the most hilarious appearance, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I love how we get to see like Japanese Spider-Man interact with manga Spider-Man and Mangaverse Ninja Spider-Man, which we should talk about a little bit about that briefly. But we had this version of Spider-Man, and 1978. And the thing that most people don't know is that the suit itself, the costume for Leopardon, the name of the giant robot that he pilots, was very clunky and cumbersome, so they didn't really use him a lot initially. It was also a bit fragile, I believe, because I feel like this was one of the first robots to go with a very big, bulky aesthetic. That would later be like serve as the basis for all future Super Sentai robots, because back in the day, most of the robots we had were very slim. They didn't look very boxy. They didn't look that much like robots. They were kind of following the slim, skin tight look of Ultraman with shows like Jumborgase. We had Jet Jaguar. We had Red Baron. Super Robot Red Baron was also kind of skinny for a robot. And so we had Leopardon, which was probably, I want to say, theorized that one of the first bulky, boxy looks for a tokusatsu robot that we would later find in Super Sentai, where they would just kind of perfect the boxy look, the big boxy look of giant robots to make the robots look like robots, in my opinion. Right. Not to diss those past robots, but I prefer the big, bulkier super robots from an aesthetics point of view. But yeah, the thing was, I believe the robot suit was actually stolen sometime after they started making shows. So the first few episodes featured actual battle scenes between Leopardon and giant robots. However, after that, the suit was gone, so they were forced to use nothing but stock footage for all the future fights in the series. So after episode 3, every single appearance of Leopardon, he would just show up, transform, do the throw his like boomerang, Maybe throw a giant web from his chest, and then throw a sword, chuck a sword at the robot's chest, at the monster's chest, and that would be it. So the fights would be very short, consist of nothing but stock footage, and so that kind of resulted in the writers' team focusing more on the drama between Spider-Man and his supporting cast and the villains, and just kind of leave the robot stuff as like an afterthought, saved for like the last 3 minutes of the show.
Right. Now, in reality, where that costume went, Stan Lee took it, and now it's in his house.
I would not be surprised if that was the case.
I know I would.
Right. But yeah, you would end up, so with having this character who would defeat monsters in 3 minutes, it would kind of make Leopardon off to be like this more powerful than he probably intended him to be. It was like, oh, here he is, time to chuck a sword at him, boom, I won the day.
Now, I know this would never happen, but what do you think if they ever did what they did for the Adam West Batman and give it an animated movie?
Well, they actually did give an animated movie to Adam West Batman 2, in fact.
That's what I said that, like they did to the Adam West Batman, do this for Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Sorry, I misinterpreted your question. Yeah, I would love to see an animated continuation or an animated adaptation of Japanese Spider-Man, especially when, like, everyone I've talked to in Japan, they have no idea this exists. So I'm surprised they haven't done that already. But, you know, every time we get an anime Spider-Man in those Marvel Avengers shows, he's just American Spider-Man. So yeah. I'm not sure if that's even possible at this point, because I think most people are now more familiar with movie Spider-Man than they are with Japanese Spider-Man. So I think Japanese Spider-Man would be, if they ever make him, he would be for a very, very niche audience. Kind of like the new anime that's coming out for Gridman. For those who don't know, Gridman was the Tsuburaya TV show that was adapted in America as Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. And so recently it was confirmed that there was going to be a continuation of Gridman called SSSS Gridman. And so Gridman is also a very niche property that I don't think a lot of people remember, but they plan on bringing him back. Same with Redman. Redman came back as a comic book drawn by Matt Frank, American artist Matt Frank. They brought a dude who's known in America for his Godzilla artwork, brought him to Japan, and Tsuburaya hired him to do a comic based on a very obscure character that got some popularity on the internet for being a complete psychopath killing innocent monsters.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Or at least he was reinterpreted as a psychopath killing monsters, because in the original Redman shorts, just a normal monster would be walking around doing nothing, and then, "Red them fight!" And then he would just show up and murder the fuck out of them. But, yeah, so I can see a possibility of there being a Japanese Spider-Man anime or a resurrection of Japanese Spider-Man, but I don't think it'll be that big of a project if it ever comes to fruition.
I think it'd be cool if it was done in like the Gurren Lagann animation style.
Yes! Oh, Gainax. Yeah, I would love to see Gainax do that. Although, from what I understand, Gainax might be going through some financial troubles, or maybe they have been in the past, because they often do the weird, crazy, edgy, very innovative stuff, which is not that popular in Japan. Like in Japan, if you want to be financially successful, you have to either sell a shit ton of toys, like, you know, Sentai, like Marvel Disc Wars, or you have to do something that audiences are already familiar with. So if you ever try to do anything new or experimental, it's most likely not going to be that popular, because it's different and therefore scary and people don't want to watch it.
Japan works by Disney rules.
I guess so, in a way, yeah. Although I guess to a bigger extent, I don't know, because whenever I look at Japanese entertainment, I always see them as trying to pump out as much content as possible within a short amount of time. So once the first anime is done, boom, 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 let's get ready on the next anime. Whereas with America, I like to think that they put more time and effort into their stuff, but I could be wrong there. And also, I think they may pay their artists less than in America, so that would cause the artists in Japan to work 10 times as hard to get twice as much content out there to make as much money as, I guess, an American artist would. I'm not really sure, but I could be wrong with that statement.
well, a lot of animation here is now CG animation and Flash.
Uh-huh, right.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier and faster to get things done.
Yeah. And maybe that's why Japan has been slowly trying to go towards CG animation with rocky results.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Berserk anime. Yeah. So let's see. The last thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't want to bring up the mangaverse, but then I realized the mangaverse was actually made by Americans and not so much the Japanese. It was just, hey, we love anime. These American writers were like, we love anime. Let's reinterpret our Marvel heroes as anime characters. So they envisioned like Iron Man with a giant robot. They called him Ultimate Iron Man, I think. They envisioned Spider-Man as a ninja whose parents were killed by Venom, who is from a rival ninja clan. So I don't have a lot of exposure to the mangaverse, but yeah, I think that was just like Americans trying to emulate the style of anime from Japan.
There was a Spider-Man manga I ran across.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. So how was that?
Not the chibi one you saw in Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
The one I found apparently was well known for starting out as a comedy, then slowly getting darker as time progressed.
I see. Okay.
It's still a Japanese version of Spider-Man, just a Japanese man that takes the identity of Spider-Man.
Okay. Does he still have the origin, like a dead uncle, or is it all different again?
Yeah. Sadly, I haven't read it. I only recently discovered it.
Okay. And so. All right, then. So this could be like something that's like it's a Japanese person, but it could be more faithful, possibly, than Tokusatsu Spider-Man.
So you want to move on to the next comic book franchise that was animated?
Absolutely.
Animated. I don't think that's a word, but all right. We're moving on from Marvel to Image Comics. First one. Let's start with a more recognizable name: the Spawn manga.
Right. Now, my knowledge of the Spawn manga comes from Captain Logan's review of the series back when he did Spawn Year, where he did like a collection of Spawn reviews based on the Spawn comic and related merchandise. And he spent 3 episodes covering each volume, English translated volume of the mangas. And I gotta say, that was a very interesting and faithful adaptation of Spawn. And it's one of those examples where Spawn has been such a very rocky franchise that had a lot of potential. But I think the one major factor that bogged down Spawn was Todd McFarlane himself, the creator, where anytime Spawn is given to another artist or another creator, Spawn works. It's like they take what works in the main comics and do their own thing with it, and it works much better than the main thing.
Right.
So, looking at Captain Logan's review of the Spawn manga, it looks like another example of that. Like, take Spawn away from Todd, give much of the creative freedom to whoever's in charge of the project, and they do a better job than Todd can.
Now, I never got to finish it because I never found the last few English versions of it, but I did read about 5 issues of it.
Okay, and what were your thoughts on it from your own experiences?
I like the idea it was still in the same universe, but it was a different Spawn.
Right. That was interesting. Where it's like, it kind of also contradicts the main lore, but then again, everything contradicts everything in Spawn lore. There is no Spawn lore because it gets changed every year. Thanks, Todd McFarlane. But, when the main Spawn first began, they mentioned that there can only be one Spawn every couple hundred years, I think, or every couple thousand, no, about couple hundred years or 1,000 years or so. And because of that, I guess this Japanese Spawn, he's not really technically a fully fledged Spawn. He is like, his costume came off of the main Spawn, kind of like what Carnage is to Venom. Carnage suit came off of Venom's suit from the Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, exactly. They even brought in Violator the Clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was even kind of acting as the, I guess you could say, mentor to the Spawn.
Right, which was the idea that was initially presented in the comics for the main Spawn, but again, Todd McFarlane doesn't know what he wants to do with his characters.
Right. Is that what we have to say about about Spawn? Or do you want to go on to the next image?
I will say that from Captain Logan's review, apparently the story ended on a somewhat of a cliffhanger that still manages to make it wasn't a definitive ending, so it's one of those endings where it could lead to more future adventures with Japanese Spawn, but it was still the series was canceled, and we never got like a full conclusion to him. And of course, the main Spawn never acknowledged Japanese Spawn, so we don't know whatever happened to that character, unfortunately.
I would love an anime adaptation of Spawn.
Yeah, although isn't technically the HBO Spawn series like animated in Japan? I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I know it is anime in Japan, but it's not done in the style though.
Right. This was, I guess, if you think about it, a lot of American shows are animated in Japan, but they're given enough of a budget and direction to go more American style. Like, I believe also Batman was animated, like Batman the Animated Series was animated in Japan by the same company that would go on to create The Big O, which I believe they took a lot of notes from their work on Batman to make The Big O.
Right. And they also do a lot of animation in Korea. That's where a lot of our animations come from, too.
Right, because everything is cheaper in Korea. I think even IDW comics are printed in Korea, so I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel and DC also did most of their printings in Korea.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So, so even though those are technically Japanese made, I wouldn't consider them Japanese adaptations because they have zero creative input on them. They're told what to do, and they do it just how the Americans want them to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. So moving on to the next product.
Which is Witchblade.
Witchblade. Now, I have zero familiarity with Witchblade. I am aware that it was a comic book. It has a character who has white skin and white hair. Outside of that, I have no idea anything about Witchblade as a character or as a series. Oh, and I'm not familiar with the movie either.
I only remember watching 2 episodes of the anime. All I remember was titties and slaughter. Pretty good, actually.
So a very typical 90s comic book property then.
Yeah, pretty much. That's also the anime.
Are there also guns? Because it can't be a true 90s American comic without big guns.
That's true. Well, the breasts count as big guns?
I'll give you that.
Thank you. I deserve that.
I deserve all the big guns. So how was the anime itself?
I like the animation style and the character designs, in all honesty.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's very fan service, but it's more bloody and all that.
I see. So it's kind of like what would you say? Style over substance?
Yes.
Okay, then it really is a good interpretation of a 90s comic.
Yeah, like if you type in the anime, look at the main character. She is sexualized, but she's still pretty cool looking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I only remember watching 2 episodes of it.
Okay. I see. And let's see. So what was the name of the movie again?
I don't remember the movie. I say the anime is just called Witchblade.
Witchblade. Okay, then. Yeah. All right, then. You know what? Maybe I'm thinking of another character entirely because I'm looking at Google Images. I'm seeing a completely different character. So maybe what I was thinking of is very different. But yeah, it does deviate a lot from the Witchblade comic that I was, again, looking at the images here. But yeah, it looks like they definitely get the right down to the fan service thing, which is something that I'm sure American creators and Japanese creators are definitely very well versed in.
That is the only thing we bond over.
I suppose so. we both of our cultures have an appreciation for the female form.
We are disgusting people, I know.
Yes, always. So, let's see. Moving on, then?
The next one is the Ninja Turtles OVA.
Yes, and that was only 2 episodes, I believe, each of them advertising a completely different set of Ninja Turtle toys, right?
Yes, I couldn't make it past the first one. I just couldn't. It was so ridiculous.
So, from what I understand, again, this is something I've only seen in reviews and clips, And it is actually the Ninja Turtles OVA was somewhat infamous among people who are savvy in Ninja Turtles merchandising, and they'll say like, do you know about the Ninja Turtles anime? You don't? Well, let me share you this. So apparent so I think, at least from my experiences with my students, most of my adult students seem to have a passing familiarity with Ninja Turtles. I guess because unlike the Avengers, like there's not like a million movies and there's not a full-on anime series or merchandise, so they are aware of Ninja Turtles, but they've never actually like ever been exposed to it all that much from my experiences. And I guess younger generations, they don't know they are completely unaware of the Ninja Turtles, which is really funny given how much Japanese of a Japanese influence the Ninja Turtles have on the comics. But right. Yeah, so we have these Japanese exclusive toys. We have one set of toys where they reimagined the Ninja Turtles as these big, humanoid, bulky, muscular, Wolverine-looking characters.
No, they turn into them.
Exactly. Well, I'm talking about the toys themselves. And then the other set of toys was the Ninja Turtles with like giant, gaudy-looking robot samurai armor. And so with each episode of the OVA, each one showcases both of these transformations. So you got one version where you have the characters turning into super mutation turtles, and they fight an evil fairy, and they have help from another fairy, and they fight Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder, and all three of them, they turn into big giant robot mutants, and the Shredder turns into a fucking dragon. So, and then you had like the Ninja Turtles, they fuse to create the superhuman saint turtle, god turtle, or whatever. And they fight in outer space.
One word.
What's that?
Why can't the Japanese just use one word per name?
No, fuck that, man. You gotta have super deluxe, ultra dynamic, god human go creature.
That means you have to change Draco Azul's name.
Oh, there's a reason why I call him Primal Warrior Draco Azul, just to sort of...
Not enough.
Not enough, okay. Super deluxe, Primal Warrior...
Prime
Beef, Fighter... attack, go, robot, Draco Azul. Let's see.
Still not enough.
Still not enough. I had to get every thesaurus in the dictionary to get ready. It's almost like as stupid as the next Godzilla anime movie. It's like mobile, city, breeder, final decisive battle thing, part 2, the movie, HD Turbo Remix.
They don't have a poster, they just have the title.
Yeah. Just the title itself covers up the whole poster. It's just nothing but kanjis. But let's see. With the Ninja Turtles, I guess in the other episode, it was like just they start over from scratch. They go to Japan so they can climb this strange tower to get this MacGuffin, and they meet the Shredder, and they get their new transformations to fight each other in order to reach the top of the tower, or some bullshit like that. And it's really weird how they redesigned the Shredder, because everyone else looks like very much on model from what they looked like in the anime, just with a much brighter color scheme. But with the Shredder, they completely changed him, and you'd think he would stay the same because he looks like the most Japanese-inspired character in the show.
Right.
Yeah, but instead he's got this like weird sci-fi armor. He's got like these Skeletor. He's got these like Skeletor purple skin instead of blue skin, and he's like his face is completely obscured in shadow except for his eyes. He's got these weird giant, gaudy looking shoulder pads. It's all crazy.
So he's more like Super Shredder from the second Ninja Turtles movie.
Kind of, yeah. He's like a purple Super Shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I also noticed, I thought it was weird that they actually changed his design that much.
I see.
I guess because he's armored, they just want their own flair to an armored character.
I guess so. Yeah. They love their metal armor, the Japanese designers. Let's see. All right then. So that was a weird thing that happened. What's next on the list?
Let's do another favorite kids franchise, Powerpuff Girls Z.
And so my sister, she was definitely exposed to this one. I learned because back in the 90s and early 2000s, my sister was a diehard Powerpuff Girls fan, and I was also a fan too. But I definitely followed the show, the movie. She also did the same, but she got a lot of the merchandise. It's always kind of funny when you think of Powerpuff Girls as a franchise because there's so much crazy, awesome action and such smart writing, witty writing in that show that it can appeal to both girls and boys. But when it came to the merchandise, it was completely geared towards girls. I don't think there were I mean, I would love to have like toys of the villains themselves, but I'm surprised they never marketed any of like the villain or monster toys to the boys. In fact, I think they barely made any toys of the villains themselves. It was mostly just the Powerpuff Girls themselves.
Which is kind of boring.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I mean, you never got any ones that... I guess you had toys that had, like, light-up eyes for, like, to simulate laser vision, but that was it. It was mostly just, like, plushies and jewelry and plastic dolls and bed sheets and pillows and all that stuff. But yeah, when you got the Powerpuff Girls anime, yeah, it was definitely going more towards the magical girl genre, as opposed to any sort of... I guess with Powerpuff Girls, I always kind of envisioned it like Astro Boy, where you have these cute-looking characters that kick a lot of ass, and they turned this Astro Boy type show in America and turned it into more of a Sailor Moon magical girl sort of show. Sorry, for my I got a dry throat, ladies and gentlemen. It's this weather is not doing me any favors. They're trying to go for like the Sailor Moon direction and make it very geared towards girls. I believe, and they tone down the action and they use mostly like weapons and magical weapons and powers as opposed to their fists and legs to beat up criminals.
Now, I actually watched one episode of this.
Okay, and what did you think about it?
My mind was blown. They had fingers. It was weird. I know. I thought I'd see that. Then also, everyone in their town must be really stupid because they have secret identities, but they don't disguise themselves at all.
Really?
Yes.
They actually have that. They actually. I just found the thing I was thinking of. It wasn't Witchblade. It was Lady Death. Lady Death was what I was thinking of. No, the girl with the white hair and white skin.
Actually, I think they did make an anime of that.
Yeah. So I was thinking of Lady Death, people, not Witchblade. So my apologies there. But anyways, with Powerpuff Girls Z, from what I saw one episode as well. I believe it was the episode that introduced the Rowdy Rough Boys, which were the gender bent cloned versions of the Powerpuff Girls themselves that Mojo Jojo created. And from what I saw of the series, it was fine for what it's worth, but I feel like it had none of the smart writing that the American show had. It was just kind of a generic comedy-based wacky TV show with a admittedly decent art style that seemed to blend elements of American wacky cartooniness with the silly overly designed features of Japanese character art designs.
Now, you'd think Powerpuff Girls would have worked really well as an anime.
Yeah. I think if you were to make it like, let's see, what would be a good example? Like One Punch Man.
Boy?
I was going to say
One Punch Man. Oh, yeah, One Punch Man.
One Punch Man, or like the 2000... Ooh, what was the last Astro Boy one? 2003 Astro Boy? I think it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go like full-on action instead of like super wacky, silly, comedy-based. Or just go with... like Astro Boy had elements of comedy. You had One Punch Man where it's like super comedic but also super violent as well. That would be very good for Powerpuff Girls, I think.
And like One Punch Man, would they have every once in a while more serious moments?
Yeah, very true. Kind of like the Powerpuff Girls movie, really.
Oh yeah.
The movie got serious at times as well when it needed to be, and in my opinion it totally worked. But yeah, you can definitely tell that the original Powerpuff Girls was indeed inspired by Japanese media. I mean, just look at that special episode where they went against that giant blowfish monster and they fought with a giant robot. I think the episode was called Uh-Oh Dynamo. easily my favorite episode from the series for obvious reasons. And just looking at that, a lot of that was a large homage to Japanese giant robots, giant monsters sort of media from Japan. So yeah,
I know the episode you're talking about. For some reason, my mind instantly went to that Billy and Mandy episode. Billy and Mandy, giant monsters, all out attack.
Oh yeah, that one where they did a Kragara, which was a parody of Gamera. They did Kidira, a parody of Ghidorah. Billy turns into like an Ultraman parody. Yeah, there was a lot of great kaiju homage there. But let's see. But back to Powerpuff Girls, it could definitely work. And with the Powerpuff Girls Z, it's not the worst. Like, it's decent on its own, but compared to what it was spun off from, it doesn't really even compare to the original show, sadly.
It's a meh.
Yeah. So what is the next show on our list, Crooked?
Well, I guess we compare all. I guess we could just say all these are the one, just because they all work the same way, which is Halo Legends, Animatrix, and what's the other one here?
Batman,
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knight,
yeah.
Batman, Gotham Knights. Yeah. It's a very interesting how all three franchises. We have Halo, the video game series starring Master Chief. We have Batman, who is the Batman, and we have the Matrix, which was that that movie series featuring Keanu Reeves, where it takes place in a virtual reality world whose plot heavily resembles that of Megazone 23, I think. All like, especially when the Matrix, it's very anime inspired, Batman, ninja culture inspired. What was it? Halo Legends. I don't see any Japanese inspiration there, so that one feels kind of random. But it's interesting that all three popular franchises had the exact same idea of making an anthology film composed of different stories, each made by different Japanese studios.
And each one led up to the sequel to the next part of the franchise.
Yeah, very true.
Gotham Knight was the Dark Knight trilogy. It was right after Batman Begins.
Yeah. The Animatrix takes place in between the Matrix and the two sequels that everyone likes to pretend they never existed. And we have the Halo Legends, which I believe was between 3 and 4 or 2 and 3, because I'm not a Halo person.
I haven't played Halo in years. There's so many of them. I don't know which one this came after.
So why do you think these three franchises decided to go for the anime anthology premise?
Well, I sort of understand Halo just because a lot of the designs could work a lot well for anime.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, for Matrix, it was a lot of anime influence.
Mm-hmm.
Batman, that one I'm a little curious about. I guess like we were talking about with Batman Ninja, it's mostly because of all the influences.
Yeah. I think there could be a number of factors why. Maybe because it's much easier to have a Japanese it's much cheaper to make a Japanese company make an animated product as opposed to America. Because we talked about that with Batman, the animated series, and a lot of other shows that are animated in Japan or Korea.
Right.
Or maybe it's because a lot of these creators, they love Japanese entertainment and they really want to see other companies do their take on their franchises. It's kind of like what I'm doing I'm doing a similar thing with my Draco Azul comic, where I'm having different artists do their take on Draco Azul and then collecting their pieces. These commissions and putting them at the end of my Draco Azul comic book. So it's, in a way, I'm showing like different interpretations of Draco Azul while at the same time showcasing these artists and giving them some exposure.
Right.
So maybe that could be a similar thing going on here where they really want to show off these characters into those cool styles and at the same time try to give these people some credit or some spotlight.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Let's see. Out of the three, what do you think is the best one, or which ones happen to be your favorites?
I have to say Gotham Knights, just because I'm a big Batman fan. I just liked all the different animations they went for each short.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the first one that featured a character I can only assume to be Firefly, maybe. That one featured like the weirdest art style when you see Batman himself. He kind of looks like a weird, boxy, average-looking human being. But maybe that was meant to be the point where
that was more Western style.
Yeah, everyone was trying to in that in short, everyone's trying to imagine Batman as different type of characters. Like one kid imagines him to be a robot, one kid imagines him to be a bat creature, the other one imagines him to be like this shadowy vampire character, and in the end he's just a normal guy. And I really love that this was sort of like an homage to an episode of Batman the Animated Series where one kid imagines him as the 80s Frank Miller Batman, the other one imagines him as like 50s Batman, and then you see Batman for who he is, fighting what was his name? Firefly.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely do like the different interpretations of them. My one biggest complaint with Gotham Knight is that even though a lot of these shorts are visually appealing, there's no real strong connection between all of them. Like with the Animatrix, it feels to me like a lot of this takes place in the same universe. But with Batman Gotham Knight, it never feels like it's in the same universe, let alone the Nolan universe. And I really wish that we could have gotten some sort of sneak preview of the Joker, like before going into the Dark Knight. Kind of like how one of the shorts, and it was like the CG animated short in the Animatrix. That's the one that led to the distress call sent at the beginning of the Matrix sequel.
Right.
Yeah, but I fairly enjoy it. I think you and I might enjoy Gotham Knight a lot more than most people do, because most people, when they think of the DC direct-to-video animated movies, they generally kind of skip over Gotham Knight as this weird little experimental thing that's not really all that memorable. And I can sort of see why, but I think from a visual standpoint, it has a lot of merit to it.
I like it more. I like it more visually than I do story wise.
Yeah, story wise, these stories are unfortunately nothing special.
Yeah,
that's why I like the Animatrix a lot more.
Yeah. But it's cool seeing characters like Deadshot and Killer Croc done in an anime style.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, even though anime Scarecrow looks nothing like the Batman Begins Scarecrow, I would say it's a very cool one with like these scythes off his shoulders, and he's got the hat on and the mask and the straw.
Look, they want to make him look more badass than instead of a guy wearing a sack over his head.
Very true, man, and a straight jacket.
Oh, and a straight jacket, of course.
Yeah. So let's see. And what were your thoughts on Halo Legends then, since you're the only one who saw it, not me?
I thought it was very depressing, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had a lot of very depressing shorts in it.
Yeah.
One I remember was like a clone of a Spartan, where the clone is actually lives with the original one's parents, while the original one's a soldier now. And she actually wanted to try to kill the clone. Yeah, it ends with her not doing it, going back to war, and they both end up dying in different ways.
I see.
Yeah, not the best description of it, but that's pretty much what happened in it. That another one was about what is it called? What are the aliens called? The Arbiters or something like that?
Again, never played with Halo because I've never been an Xbox guy.
All right. What I was saying, race called the Arbiters. It took place. I think it was talking about one of the leaders and his life. Yeah. And once again, he died.
I see.
Pretty much everyone dies.
Sounds charming.
Although the first one it was pretty interesting. It had Cortana, the AI of Master Chief, kind of looking at him as he slumbers, just waiting for him to awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one was interesting.
Okay, then. So, like, only one of those shorts features Master Chief?
Yeah, he doesn't even move. He's sleeping.
I see. Yeah. The lazy bastard.
I know. Frozen bastard.
Okay, then. So, following the trend from most of the media that we've covered, a lot of these still feature these characters not in a Japanese setting, or actually for a lot of the earlier stuff that we covered, it's these characters that are still American that happen to come to Japan, or we have some things like Powerpuff Girls where they're completely Japanese, and then we have something like here where these are still American characters that don't never come to Japan, but they are simply presented in a Japanese style.
Right.
Okay, so those are like the interesting three categories we have here. When it comes to these Japanese attempts, these attempts at the Japanese adapting American or for Western characters. I assume you don't have any other properties to talk about?
Now, I'm still not sure if they're working on this anymore, but they're supposed to be a Pacific Rim anime, right?
Right, that was announced by Del Toro himself about a year ago. He mentioned that there was going to be a sequel, an animated series, and a second comic book series, Tales from the Drift. And I guess we definitely got the comic book. I've yet to read it. We have the sequel coming up in later in 2018, but we have zero mention of the animated series. And I would love it so much if they could get, like, at least Genndy Tartakovsky to do it, who did Symbionic Titan, one of my favorite animated shows ever that I can never stop recommending to people. But yeah,
or whoever animated what was it, Castlevania.
Yeah, Castlevania the anime. That would definitely be very, very good. Speaking of Japanese, oh, actually, was that an anime or not? Because I thought it was Frederator that did that show.
It is American made.
Yeah, it was American made, but definitely went for a Japanese style like Legend of Korra or Netflix Voltron. But yeah.
Sorry about that again. Well, it worked out for some reason.
No problem. But yeah, we've heard nothing about the Pacific Rim anime, so I honestly have no idea if that was canceled or not. Because back when Pacific Rim and the sequel was announced, we had Del Toro initially on board to direct it. However, he stepped down because I guess his schedule was too busy. And so it is possible that maybe when the new creative team took over the Pacific Rim franchise, maybe the animated series got lost in the shuffle, perhaps. Or maybe they were waiting, saying, let's see how the sequel does to justify whether or not we want to make an anime or an animated series, because it was never confirmed if it was going to be made in Japan or not.
Yeah. When I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be something like Batman Gotham Knight or Halo Legends or any of these.
I would love that, because you got like a lot of robots, a lot of monsters, a lot of pilots, so there's potential for many different stories.
Yeah, I think an anthology series would work a lot better for Pacific Rim.
Much like Tales from Year Zero.
Yeah.
The first comic book. I don't know if the Tales from the Drift comic is also another anthology, but it would make sense to me. Yeah, I would love to see it, but, honestly, who knows what's going to happen to that.
It's disappeared along with every other amazing thing that was supposed to be made.
It's like, to quote SpongeBob, it's still a mystery. Ooh. So, yeah, we went from shows, projects that featured American characters in Japan, projects that featured Japanese characters in Japan, and shows that featured American characters still in America. So there's quite a wide variation, but like you said, the majority of these characters, of these adaptations, still feature these characters almost exactly as they are, just in the gimmick of, hey, they're in Japan now. And I can sort of see why the Japanese would do that, because to them, these were probably characters that they're interested in because they're American. So if they're American, it's automatically more interesting than anything they see in Japan. So I think the reason why is because perhaps there's this, I think from what my experiences in Japan, the Japanese people seem to have a lot of, at least Japanese people in general, seem to have a lot of admiration for American entertainment, and they kind of have this idea that if it's from America, it's most likely better than anything we have here in Japan, especially when it comes to to big budget superhero blockbuster action movies. So they have a lot of reverence, a lot of respect for these original creations. So whenever these Japanese companies have the chance to adapt these characters for a Japanese audience, I guess it would make sense for them to be as respectful and most faithful to these characters, while at the same time trying to put their own spin on things as a mere gimmick. And also the Japanese, they like it when they see their culture be reinterpreted in other countries, I think. And so if they see Batman dressed up as a samurai or a ninja, they'll be like, oh, that's cool. It's a character I like, featuring culture from my own country. That's cool. And, I would feel the same too. It's be like, hey, look, that's like, it's like, here you have, let's see, what's some random example here? Let's say
Ultraman.
Okay, Ultraman. Let's say Ultraman, and he was in America. So it's like, oh, cool, that's Ultraman, and he's fighting monsters in New York or Los Angeles or San Diego, like that. Like, you have the T-Rex scene in San Diego, my hometown. It's like, oh, cool. There's Jurassic Park, something that I like, and they have the climax take place in my own hometown. That is badass.
Right.
Or if you had like a Mexican Gundam to a more hilarious extent, offensive yet hilariously touching and endearing extent. It's like, oh, cool. They decide they have the land of my people. They give him a Gundam and they gave him a fucking sombrero and a mustache and cactus armor. Awesome. Yeah.
As a white person, I'm not allowed to say anything.
No, you're not. You see, this is what I like. It's called brown privilege, sir. I can say shit you can't.
Which is everything anymore.
You cannot say anything. Now shut up, Whitey.
Yes, sir.
I'm not serious, folks. Please do never take anything I say seriously or out of context, please.
You're like, I already did.
Let's see. But yeah, going back to what we were saying and wrapping things up, it was very interesting being able to look through across the history of these sort of things, these adaptations, and the general Japanese approach to adapting American entertainment. We didn't even go into the Transformers franchise. We can leave.
You're right.
Skipped over that, but that's a whole other can of worms. Maybe we can talk about that on another day with maybe some with other people, perhaps. That can be saved for another episode of Kaiju's Corner. Maybe I should actually watch a lot of some of those animes just to get a good feel of them. But yeah, Transformers is another example where it was like Japanese toys given an American story, readapted back into Japan multiple times, going back and forth between American animation and Japanese animation throughout Transformers history. I didn't even touch upon what could have been a Japanese Captain America show, where you would have had Captain America, Captain Russia, Captain Japan, Captain Kenya, and Captain France. However, they couldn't get an agreement with Marvel, and so that show ended up becoming the third Sentai series, Battle Fever J, where you still
pretty much their names would have been Captain Planet.
I guess so, maybe, but or Captain what do you call it? Captain America and the Planeteers.
Oh God.
And funny enough, they reinterpreted the American character as a woman, and everyone else is still the same. You have the France dude, the American dude, the Russian dude, and the African dude. But yeah, that was another thing. So it's very interesting to compare and contrast the differences between American adaptations and Japanese adaptations, and I can't wait to see more crazy stuff. Whenever people have the idea of a Japanese version of blank, they imagine that to be very crazy and weird and different. And outside of something like Spider-Man and Ninja Turtles, most of them are pretty tame in comparison in terms of adaptations. But you always had that weird couple weird gimmicks here and there that's sure to raise an eyebrow or two, be it Batman in Japan as a samurai ninja thing, or Marvel superheroes being squeezed into Pokeballs.
Or Spider-Man with a giant mech.
Yeah. So the characters themselves, their core is of their personalities are still intact. They're still recognizable as that character, but there's always something there that's an X factor, the Japanese factor, the J factor that's there, and that's something that a lot of the Westerners are usually very interested in checking out. So, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts are I would love to see the character Constantine to an anime.
Okay.
John Constantine.
Yeah.
And frankly, I would just love to see more Japanese idea versions of our characters, of American characters.
Yeah. Let's see.
Right.
So you mentioned you mentioned Japanese Constantine. I want to know what Japanese Star Wars is like.
Oh, that'd be pretty interesting. Actually, I always kind of made a joke that Dragon Ball Z was sort of like Star Wars, which is magic in space.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we actually have some Japanese toys, figures where they reinterpret Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and the Stormtroopers as samurais.
Oh,
And actually,
the play art figures.
yeah, yeah, and actually have. Before I left to Japan, one of my family friends, gave me a samurai stormtrooper figure that's currently sitting on my desk right now. Ever since I moved here.
I say I have the Venom version of that from Marvel Comics.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, they give Venom a really cool design in it.
Yeah, yeah. Or it'd be cool to get like an animated adaptation of like the mangaverse, the Marvel mangaverse.
Now, I think that would be cool, although they kind of ended in a pretty dumb way where a majority of all the world's heroes were killed off, only a small group of them lived.
Aw. Okay, so it looked like they didn't have any future plans for that universe. So, kill it off!
Got rid of it along with the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah. Alright then, so, at the end of the day, where can people find you, Crooked?
They can find me on my YouTube channel, Crookedlore Productions.
Excellent.
And there they can see future episodes. One involving me doing a special episode for a special independent comic book called Martial Star.
I've never heard of that comic, but I'm sure you can potentially find a review of it on some nobody's channel.
Yeah, he's definitely a nobody.
And you can also see Crooked his animation featured on my channel every episode, where you see that great intro he made for me, as well as the animated segments of my scripted Mothra reviews, and as well as his characters interacting with me, my in-universe version of myself, as a chibi robot, featured there as
in
the middle of our little crossover we have going on there. So yeah, you can check that out. You can also check out my past videos. I recently did a review for Double Indemnity with Matthew Denian, the kaiju thriller novelist, writer of Atomic Rex and Chimera Scourge of the Gods, and more. And so you can check out all of that and more. So thank you very much, Crooked, for approaching me with this idea. It's been a lot of fun being able to do another video with you as well. with you again, I mean. And can't wait for more collaborations down the line, man.
I know, it's amazing working with me. I'm just that great of a person.
Anyways, I have been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And I'm Crookedlore Productions.
And until next time, everybody, take care.